first sort of meaty element of this day 2 workshop is the strategic approaches. So these are the things that your team or your project is doing as interventions that will hopefully lead to the desired results. So it's the only verbs on the theory of change, verb statements on the theory of change. This is structured in what should be a familiar format by now. It's first a brainstorm, and then a mind mapping or prioritization exercise, a energy vote, and a discussion and gut check moment. With the strategic approaches in particular, we feel it is especially important to get all the ideas out at this point. So anything you can do to help participants get creative, refrain from editing themselves before they put ideas down on the sticky notes. Really consider the elements of the theory of change that they've already stated and chosen to move forward with, and drawing attention to each of those in turn. All of these strategies can, really help sort of get a robust set of strategic approaches into the brainstorm. One difference here is that we do feel it is worth a little bit of extra time to cluster the strategic approaches, because the intent is to end up with a set of 5 to 7 strategic approaches that end up on your drafted theory of change. They're going to feel pretty high level. So a lot of the sort of day-to-day work and tasks that the team members might be engaging in may not be able to show up on that high level. The theory of change is intended to sort of map the high level logic of sort of how the work will lead to the impact, will lead to the goal, and not to sort of exhaustively list all the things that the team is working on and doing. It's a communication tool and a strategy summary or a vision statement or a vision hypothesis. It's not an exhaustive strategic plan. So taking some time after the brainstorm has happened to cluster these into themes or groups, or sort of find where the shared elements are, and creating sort of like umbrella strategies to encompass whatever gets brainstormed at the more detail level. That can really serve you to sort of have your theory of change represent at an appropriate level of detail the work that you're doing. So once you've sort of brainstormed and clustered your strategic approaches into high-level themes, we suggest taking those high-level themes and placing them onto the matrix. So you don't need to get every single little sticky note that's been brainstormed onto the matrix, but at least those big themes, overarching themes. And this is actually a 2-part matrix, but we suggest that you do it in 2 stages because it can be very difficult to map things on a 2x2 axis without, I guess, like thinking about both axes at once. So to simplify things, first, we recommend that you think about potential impact of the strategic approach that you've identified. So how much potential does it have, do we think, to address the problems that we've identified and to advance us towards our outcomes? It's very important that the team is thinking in terms of the specific problems they've chosen and the specific outcomes they've chosen as well. And making sure that you're prioritizing based on those specific elements. The next activity or step of this process is to prioritize in terms of feasibility. So we have here a spectrum from high feasibility, and that to us means our specific team, our specific group of TNC folks has the resource and assets and skills to do this strategic approach well, versus not feasible. Our team doesn't have the resources, assets, and skills available to us to do this well. And it's worth pointing out that a lot of times Important strategies include collaboration with other key parties or partners. And what we're talking about in terms of feasibility here is would in the context of a partnership based strategy would be your ability to manage that partnership effectively in order to achieve outcomes. So just wanted to sort of point out that little important difference there. And finally, we recommend an energy vote and a gut check. Do our strategic approaches address all the problems we identified? And will they help us achieve all the outcomes we selected? So it's really worth taking a moment and thinking through that. Do we have sort of those key bases covered at this point?